Firestone Walker Brewing Company opened in 1996 in Santa Barbara County in California. The brewery continued to grow and develop until Duvel out of Belgium bought it out in 2015. The Nitro Merlin Milk Stout is based on the company's successful oatmeal stout. But is this Nitro offering worth picking up? Find out now on Two Dudes Reviews.
What up, guys? Yeah, today we have Firestone Nitro Merlin Milk Stout. And I have to admit, Firestone is one of my favorite, more recent discovery breweries. I know they didn't have it in Michigan. I don't think they still don't. But it's out of California, and I believe it is. I haven't done the research for it yet, the intro part. But I believe it's from, it's kind of owned by the Duvel and Omegang guys, which you're always going to get quality out of that. And I've had a few other Firestone beers. And they're all fantastic, just quality, great beer, and they're not gimmicky. A lot of beers now are super gimmicky. And I mean, some of those they're fine for one or two tries, but then I don't know, they're just not as fun anymore. Now this I don't know if you'd call this a gimmick, but it's got nitrogen in it, but it's a hard pour. It doesn't have the widget in it, which I don't know why we can't have the widget in American cans. It's all cans, from the UK and Ireland and stuff like that. Because the widget will always give you that nitro tap taste that you get at the bar. This half-assed hard pour kind of thing. It's kind of a BS version of the nitro, and I'm always just not satisfied with the end result. It's always like, man, if they just had a widget, this would taste so much better. But anyways, they have your instructions right on the back of it. So it says, stop, pour hard into glass. You want to invert can 3 times. 1, 2, 3. Don't do it too fast. And now we gotta do the hard pour. Oh yeah, I'm pretty much out of my regular drinking glasses, so I'm using my good old Hoegaarden glass. This is maybe my favorite glass. It's basically shaped like a medieval tower. I love this thing. The pour doesn't seem too bad. We'll see how the head on the end of it is, but we'll let this sit. But while I'm letting that do its thing, So apparently there are certain people that are just used to the hard pour and not used to the widget thing. I don't know if I've told the story on these other reviews before, but I was at, not exactly a party, just people were hanging out, and some other people came over, and one of the girls that came over was like, I'd like a beer or something. And so this dude went into the refrigerator and pulled out just a couple, and one was a Guinness with the widget. And the guy's like, okay, you gotta pour this a certain way. And the girl's like, okay. And he cracks open the Guinness and does the hard pour. And I gotta tell you, I know I made a face. When he did that. I don't think he saw it, but it was almost like nails on a chalkboard kind of thing, where he just hard poured a Guinness. It's just you just kill. Oh man. Again, a dumb thing to get kind of just like nail on chalkboard wall-esque too, but it's still just like, it's not hard. I mean, whatever, dude. But alright, it is poured. I'll admit the cream doesn't look too bad. It's still not as thick the head is as you get from the nitro widget. It is a little more bubbly. You probably can't totally see it, but again, it's got a decent head on it. And alright, we will get into the smell now. You got that nice coffee aroma. I wonder if wearing a hat helps with the smell. It kind of like locks it into your nose. You have kind of that the dairy aroma to it. Maybe a little oatmeal-y. Dog's eating something out there, and we'll find out what it is. You get a little bit of the kind of maybe a barley-esque, where it feels like it won't be super duper smooth. Like there might be a little bite to this beer. Maybe we'll find out. A lot of times your milk stout's pretty smooth, but I can't tell if that's a. Maybe it's just they roasted the coffee beans in a certain way. I don't know. I think it smells pretty good. Again, pretty much every single beer I've had from Firestone has been excellent. So I have good hopes for this. But I will recommend it on smell. And now let's get into the taste. One, we'll start with the creaminess first. It's not bad. The creaminess is better than a lot of the other ones I've had. A lot of the other hard pours just don't quite work. I don't know if they're able to get more nitrogen into this can. Because a lot of the hard pours I get are the Left Hand Brewing Company, whatever, in the bottles, and those things suck. I can't get them to work right. It seems to be a little more. Again, yeah, the widget will always be superior, but it's not that bad. So for the creaminess isn't that bad. It does, I think, have a bit of a little more bitterness to the beer than you might get for your normal milk stouts, which is interesting. It has, yeah, that bitterness at the back end. At the front end, you do get some of that the creamy milk coffee aroma thing going on. So you get the milk cream at the very, very tip of your tongue. The majority of your tongue gets that coffee thing, and then you get that bitter, maybe like barley-ish thing at the very back of it. It might be a little maybe like a barley molasses-y kind of thing going on at the very end. So it's nice. Your tongue's not just getting one straight flavor and that's it. It's got a little. It's a little layered, which is nice. Yeah, I can dig it. I don't mind that little extra bitterness of that back end. If it was a little more intense, I probably would not be a huge fan of it, because in a certain way, it does kind of take over and become the lasting flavor you get, which maybe you don't want in a milk stout. Maybe you want something a little smoother, something that just kind of has a cold drop off. There's a lot of other milk stouts. It's very milk coffee-y, and then that's it. It just drops, and you're left with that kind of cold milk coffee flavor. This has the end flavor is that more bittery molasses, barley kind of thing going on. So if you don't want that to be your end flavor, it might not be the kind of beer you. Man, nitrogen's getting me to burp already. But so yeah, anything. If there was any more of that, I probably would be like, not exactly. I wouldn't mind if it was turned down just a little bit. But for the most part, I think I like it. I like that it's layered. It's not just you take a sip and you get it instantly. There's enough interest for you to keep kind of digging and sifting through. And I mean, honestly, it's been sitting for a while, and I still got that cream head, and you can tell when you pour it back. It just clings to the glass, so that's good. So I do think there's actually nitrogen still kind of hanging out in the rest of the beer for it to keep remaining, for the head to remain like that. So if you're looking for something that doesn't have the widget but is able to hold the nitrogen well, the Nitro Merlin Milk Stout from Firestone Walker Brewing Company is a good thing. But I will recommend it on taste. Alright, value for price. That's where we get a little because, yeah, Firestone, based out of California. Does it say where in California? Paso Robles, California. I know I probably did not say that right. I'm not sure where that's at. Actually, I have no clue where that's at. I'm going to guess it between San Francisco and Los Angeles, which I know is like a 5-hour range. It's like saying it's between Detroit and Cincinnati. Well, we got a lot of range there. But it doesn't, I mean, it doesn't have proclaim like from Omegang and from Duvel. It doesn't say that, which, you know, you'll find that after you look it up. But I think it's good because it doesn't rest on what those other breweries have done. It doesn't kind of like sit on their accomplishments. It wants to do its own thing, which I totally get. I totally support. And by the way, I love this company's logo of a bear and a lion basically box fighting. I think it's like old school Scottish and I don't know, like North American like figureheads fighting. It's just got a cool vibe to it. Should be on a medieval shield somewhere. Maybe I saw it on a Lego shield growing up. I don't know, but I was going somewhere with that. But yeah, Duvel and Omegang, those beers are generally more expensive. I mean, Duvel is coming in from Belgium, but Omegang is priced basically exactly the same. I used to think when I first started getting into the beer scene, I went from Duvel and the Chimay beers into Omegang because they all had the bigger bottles lined up on the groceries, and they just looked just like all the other Belgian beers. And once I started to read the print, it's like, New York, what? I felt a little gypped, but it tasted just as good. And this kind of goes along the same lines. It doesn't try to, it does still have like the very European kind of logo, but the price is higher than a lot of like your other standard micro beers, the other micro beers in California. You have a lot of great ones in California. You got a lot of really crappy ones too, but when you have 600 plus microbreweries in the state, you're gonna have some hits and misses. But it's priced higher than a lot of the other ones just for your standard beer. And then they have some specialty beers that are even more pricey. But so you gotta keep that in mind. Especially, I mean, this isn't available in all states. I'm not sure what the distribution is. But I'm going to give it a half on value for price just because there are some other close comparable beers to this that are going to be less expensive. It's just they charge a premium for it, which I get. I'm sure they use great ingredients. I'm just throwing it out there. You're probably going to pay more for a Firestone Walker than some of the other stuff. So I'm giving it a half on that long spiel. But alright, next category is drinkability. And I'm screwing myself. Well, drinkability is the next category. And yeah, as the head, the milk element go down, the back end kind of roasted barley bitterness comes more to the forefront. So, and I think that also is because it's getting warmer, it's a little more room temperature. And so with these milk stouts, I think I like them colder, and you can drink it easier when it's colder. And so as this warms up, it's going to be a little more tricky to just kind of drink the whole thing and super enjoy it and be able to keep going to the next one. So, man. I'll recommend it on drinkability. It's if that bitterness got and if that barley like the roasted whatever they got going on, if that was any more hot, any higher, I'd say no. It's teetering right on that edge, but I think it's pretty good. And honestly, if I wasn't talking all this much, I'd be able to just be drinking it and wouldn't be getting this warm anyways. So I will recommend it on that. Distinction, how distinct is it? I mean, it's milk stout. There's only so much you can do with the Nitro Milk Stout, at least from the other beers I've had. Maybe you can do a whole lot with it, but it is a little different because you have that roasted, element at the back end, but it's not like crazy different from everything else. There's only, again, a lot of the stouts you get are very similar. So I'm going to give this a half. There is some difference to it from the other beers, but not enough for me to be like, yes. No, it tastes good, but it's not super crazy different from your other milk stouts. All right, last category is would I buy it again? And honestly, yes, I think I would. I would buy it again, especially when I try to go home to Michigan. And Firestone is going to be one of the breweries that I try to bring back because I know they don't have it there. And yeah, you got Michigan. I think, depending on how you stack, it's probably a top 3 in terms of just sheer quality beer states because they got some staple, incredibly fantastic breweries, but this isn't available there. So this is one that I will be taking back, and so I will be buying this again. This 5.5% alcohol by volume milk stout. But anyways, that is my review of Firestone Nitro Merlin Milk Stout. If you've had it before, let me know in the comments. Let me know what you think. If there's a different kind of beer you want me to check out and review, put in the comments as well. If you want to check out our website at twodudesandasixpack.com, you can find the blog that's up there that talks about different kinds of beer, different beer topics, subjects that I don't get to on the video, so check that out. And you can check out the podcast there, or you can check out the podcast on iTunes or most of the places. We're not up on Stitcher yet. I gotta work on that, but pretty much anything that uses the iTunes search engine, which is a lot of things that you even use on Android phones, you'll be able to find us. So check us out. Great stuff. We've got a podcast every other week, and then in between I'm bringing back the old podcasts, and so there's always great content coming up. So check out the podcast. If you want to check out my book called Travel for the Soul, even if you don't have one, you can find it on Amazon. That's available on both print copy and Kindle, and you can also buy it from the Barnes & Noble website as well. But yeah, that is a review. So for myself and for Firestone Nitro Merlin Milk Stout, take it easy.